Primate Ndokoba gives reasons why Christians ought to make God's priority their own priority. Diocese of Ikeduru distributes palliatives to Anglicans and non-Anglican members. Worry increases for some Nigerians who do not observe social distancing. Hello and welcome. This is the news on the hour brought to you from the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN Television. I am Zubechi Frank. You are welcome. Out of his experience in the ministry and how God has fulfilled his promises in his life, the primate of the Anglican Church of Nigeria, His Grace the Most Reverend Henry Ndokoba, has encouraged Christians, especially those in the ministry, to make God's priority their own priority. His Grace made this known while in a special interview with ACNNTV on what has been the secret of his success in ministry.
I don't know how others may interpret it, but I love taking the Lord by his word, literally. And it has helped me in my ministry. It has helped me. When you make God's priority your own priority, God has a way of supporting you and helping you through it. And in fact, look, God likes to be challenged. For you to say, Lord, this one, I'm not going anywhere until you do something for me. And you stay put, you wait on him. I have never seen him fail. I have never seen him fail. It may not be easy. Let me tell you, it is one of the most difficult and trying things. No matter what comes your way, know that the Lord is already there.
The Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Ikeduru, the Right Reverend Emmanuel Maduwike, has disbursed and distributed a third tranche of foodstuffs and life supporting items as palliative to over 600 people in Ikeduru. In the words of the bishop who supervised the disbursement himself, the diocese at a time like this has decided to give succor to the people, both Anglicans and non-Anglicans alike, in response to the perilous times. He confirmed that the Diocese of Ikeduru has also paid over 3.6 million naira as hospital bills of some indigent patients trapped in different hospitals to secure their discharge from hospital since the coronavirus lockdown began. He urged the government to remain committed in the fight against coronavirus and warned politicians not to make it a money spinner for their personal aggrandizement, and also re-emphasized the importance of regular hand washing in running water, use of face masks, and observance of social distancing. Some Anglican clergymen with the Church of Nigeria have spoken on the effect of the lockdown on the Church of God. Speaking on a special edition of a program titled The Exclusive, as anchored by the General Manager of the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, Acnn, the clergyman opined that yes, the lockdown has affected the koinonia of brethren, but Christians must not be weary at this point, but hang on to God for a better time.
This is the time no church should die because it didn't have. Because God's resources are somewhere if we are a generous church. Unless we are a self-serving and self-centered church, then we have a crisis in our hands and we've got to deal with it. But right now, I believe these are exciting times. As soon as the lockdown is open, people are going to look for God, believe me. Because everything has shut down now, only God is at work. So this is an opportunity for the gospel we must not despair or miss.
We are passing through a very difficult and strange times because that's affected the fellowship, the koinonia of believers, where you come together, you exchange pleasantries, you worship, you share your joys and your sorrows. That has actually affected us. The church is not as careful, it will affect the relevance of the church in the society. Because right now we have people already saying that there's nothing like faith, there's nothing like healing. And I want to say that I'm a typical example of divine healing.
You know, there is a sense of loss of community and the sacramental life, especially for us as Anglicans. The sacramental life is important. And then in addition to that, there are psychological stresses of anxiety and depression and, you know, and lots of marital problems. If you look at the research, the isolation is actually leading to serious marital problems. You know, divorce is skyrocketing already.
The General Secretary of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Venerable Dr. Paul Dajo, has reacted to the partial relaxation of the lockdown. Speaking with ACNNTV news crew, the General Secretary expressed worry that although the lockdown has been relaxed, that the reality of things based on information from NCDC is not encouraging, as the number of positive cases is on the increase.
Somehow, the government, out of maybe care and concern for the citizens, have decided to relax the lockdown. On the one hand, we rejoice because those who were hungry inside and were forced to be indoors now have the liberty and the freedom to come out and look for something to eat. And so it's a good attempt by the government, having listened to the situation report in the nation. The other side of the story for me is that of concern that although the lockdown has been relaxed, the reality of things based on the information from NCDC is not encouraging. There's the report that the number of cases of persons confirmed with coronavirus is on the increase. And if that is the case, there is the challenge of people getting infected as this lockdown has been relaxed. For instance, when I came out from my house to come to the secretariat, which is very close to my own house, I discovered that the whole street is filled with vehicles and with people moving. And from what I have read also on social media and have seen pictures, there are a lot of people in the banking hall. So the movement is already a contagious movement. So for me, that is my area of fear. I pray that God takes control and forbid the increase of this infection in the land as a result of this relaxed lockdown.
Meanwhile, following the announcement of a partial relaxation of the lockdown in Nigeria by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, reactions have continued to trail in concerning that. While speaking to ACNNTV news crew, some Nigerians revealed their mixed reactions about the relaxed lockdown, and they had this to say.
To my own assessment, I'm not comfortable with it, based on the fact that the numbers we are getting every day is terrifying. And Nigeria will just, they don't want to think of the outcome. Some are saying they don't have food to eat, they have to go out. But to my own assessment, if we are in our own house, we're able to manage ourselves, that the federal government will be able to curtail this pandemic, then we're able to know the rightful time. But to me, to my assessment, this is not the right time.
I'm actually not 100% convinced and not okay with the relaxed lockdown, because it will actually cause more harm. Though I support it the other way around, because those people who actually have some little money in the banks that cannot access it, for a time being now, they should be able to go there and get those money back, and then so that they can be able to cater for their needs. But the other way around, as the whole thing is now open, is now relaxed, I think the cases, it will be on an increasing side.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's very, very bad. Number one, the government did not take care of the citizen. That's why we are feeling so bad about it. I wish they can do something for the rural people, then will not care about it. But nothing, you keep people at home, no food, nothing, no assistance. So
that's too fast for them to hasten the lockdown, because the increment are much, people are dying, more and more, though there are quite numbers of people that recover, but then it's too early.
I feel the government is too hasty, in the sense that the numbers has been increasing for quite a short period of time now. So I feel the government should still maintain the lockdown for maybe a period of 2-3 weeks, to when the numbers that we have reduce. When we start having reduction in numbers, then government can start easing the lockdown little by little. Actually, I've been wearing it since, but I'm quite uncomfortable wearing it for long.
Well, the question of whether the citizens still trust the government in fighting this coronavirus pandemic is quite a big question for many, as it looks like 70% of Nigerian citizens still do not believe that there is COVID-19. We saw a large crowd at markets, motor parks, most especially banks. Here in Abuja, banks were crowded, and that leaves questions of how the social distancing is being observed. Who should be held responsible if anything goes wrong? The banks, the government, or the people? Kylian Mbappe wants Real Madrid clause in his new PSG contract. These and many more after the break. Please stay tuned.
Why do we fall ill? Is it possible to stay without falling ill? Is God interested in our health? Can we get access to cheaper health anywhere? Do you want tips on how to stay healthy? Then join me, Angela Weze, on Health Watch every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. with repeat broadcasts on Thursday at 2 p.m. and Saturday at 1:30 p.m. as health experts provide answers to your questions on how to remain healthy physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually here on. God bless you.
There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking, or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health, and WHO.
You are welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at ACNNTV.com or our social media platforms on Facebook.com or YouTube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the VM Africa app from Android and iOS stores. Moving on to national news. A week after the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, sponsored a legislation entitled National Health Emergency Bill, the Senate has commenced work on the controversial bill. The Senate bill is sponsored by Senator Chukwuka Otazi, member representing Enugu North, who is also the chairman of the Senate Committee on Primary Health and Communicable Disease. The bill, which passed first reading on the floor of the upper legislative chamber, was immediately opposed by a former deputy president of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, a member representing Enugu West. Ike Ekweremadu, referencing Order 41 of the Senate Standing Rule, said the bill is already generating controversies in the House of Representatives. He insisted that as senator, he has the privilege of going through the bill before it passes second reading. Responding, President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan, presiding, said copies will be given to members. He added that the second reading will be taken next week while senators go through it. And now to the international scene. Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba, has encouraged all Christians in Uganda not to be disappointed in the extension of the lockdown by the government in Uganda, as this will give the Ministry of Health more time so they can accurately assess the event of the COVID-19 virus in their communities. He said this was surely not an easy decision for the president to make, but people must willingly receive it so they can promote life and all its abundance, adding that out of all of East Africa, Uganda has the fewest confirmed cases and no death. The clergyman said although the country is on lockdown, Jesus and the Word of God is not on the lockdown. He urged them to be prayerful, seeking God's grace and strength to go for another 2 weeks after the 5 weeks lockdown. The African Union has said it is in talks with Madagascar on herbal remedy recently announced by the Indian Ocean island nation for the reported prevention and treatment of COVID-19. The Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention in a statement said that the talks focusing on technical data regarding its safety and efficiency were held through Madagascar Embassy in Addis Ababa. It said that the AU Commissioner for Social Affairs, Amir El-Fadi, convened a meeting with the Madagascar Chargé d'Affaires in Ethiopia, Mr. Eric Randianantado, on April 30th. The statement said it was agreed that Madagascar would furnish the AU with necessary details regarding the herbal remedy. Moving on to sports news now. Kylian Mbappe is prepared to sign a new deal with PSG, but will insist on one special clause. Mbappe remains a priority target for Florentino Perez, and the PSG star has reportedly placed a demand on the Parc des Princes board in talks over a contract renewal. The France international and PSG sporting director Leonardo are in an impasse, and the striker is apparently unhappy with the way talks are progressing, and while it is expected the 21-year-old will accept a new deal, he will demand a release clause that will permit him to move to Real Madrid or another of Europe's most storied clubs. Mbappe's contract expires 2022, and Perez's plan was to make his move when the striker had just 1 year left on his deal, which would lower the asking price considerably. So that's all we could take for this edition of the News on the Hour. Remember, if you feel in the day of adversity, your strength is weak. Let's always encourage everyone to obey government instructions on how to stay safe, because every life is important to the society and to God. I am Zubechi Frank. Bye-bye.